Howdy chaps, and welcome back to another fantastic episode. In this one, it is the last of the year, and we're tackling more of this thing. After this, today, well, I don't know how I'm filming my videos anymore, but after today's video, the next car that we're working on is actually the XW, and that'll be early January. So today's video, I'm going to do some more on this. At the end of the video, I'll give a bit of a wrap up on what I think of the lower rear quarter sections I fitted, and yeah, hope you enjoy it. Probably won't, but you might find it interesting. But hope you enjoy it. Alrighty, chummaroonies, we're going to be getting this lower rear quarter section ready. We've done the end cap, we've done the inner. I've still got to do that little, I guess you could call it the rear lower back section of the outer wheel tub. But I'm getting this focus, lovely, is this going to focus? There we go. Lovely custom garage lower rear quarter section on. All I've done so far, and this is going to be some really bad camera work, but that's life, I've just trimmed this shape into the back of this panel, and that's so far, I believe, all I'm going to have to do to it, because on this car I'm going to save this repeater light, and I'll probably go sort of across here and across that way, I reckon, because I want to keep, well, there's other reason is there's nothing wrong with this area. If you had an XC, I reckon an XC rear repeater light is horizontal and about there from memory, and I know they're not recessed, so if you had an XC you wouldn't have to worry, you could use this whole piece, but because of this I'm going to sort of zip across here. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to lay this over the top, trace around it so I know how far not to cut, and then I'm going to whittle out this, and then I'm going to get off that inner piece there, and then I'm going to repair that. I'm going to stick it back in, and then we're going to put this on. So far there's not going to be much tweaking involved in putting this on. You probably don't even need to do that. I just do it because I'm a little bit special. You could just, you know, sit it straight on, but I've just hacked out the little recess in there because, well, I want it to look as factory as possible, and that's sort of why we went for these panels too. Because, I mean, if you didn't care about factory fit, you could probably use the rare spares ones and not care. But I'm about trying to make it look as right as possible, and these are the best ones that money can buy. And awkward with one hand, but it's a near perfect fit. Probably be better if I had two hands, but I don't. So there, I'm going to chop that off now, and then we'll catch you up once this inner is open. Alrighty, chummaroonies, we have this piece now repaired. I'm sorry I didn't actually film it, but I wanted to get it done. Now, I don't know if you can see, but I've had to replace that tyre lip going all the way down around the bottom, and replaced that whole side in there. So it's actually looking rather lovely again. I used my shrinker and stretcher to make this piece through here. I would love it if somebody, I know one mob do reproduce this, but I would love it if more people made them, because this is, I know they make the inner and the outer, but this particular part, which is the back end of the outer wheel tub, it is always rusted out as well. So I don't know why more people don't make this piece, but they really should. I would love it, because it's a pain. It's not a pain, but it is annoying to have to constantly rebuild, because it does take time. Whereas if you had this piece, and you had your inner and you had your outer, you could do a lower rear quarter section a lot faster, but this is fiddly and annoying and just takes ages, especially considering how many shapes are in that. It sort of has a curve, and it actually has a twist in it, if that makes sense. So it's not a straightforward piece and takes more than 5 minutes to make. So, but that's now, I've just got to trim up that top end. And as I was under here, I just discovered that I was like, oh, I'm going to be replacing more metal. I'll just peel this up. And this inner wheel tub actually tucks behind it slightly, and the corner of it is all rusted away. So I have to peel this out and do a little baby rust repair just here, and then put that inner in. And then, yeah, the rest of it's okay till you get over here. And then I've also deliberately gone with this piece higher than where this is going to be replaced, so that, you know, when you do this lower section, you know that when you're welding the outer on to this piece, it's actually all good between it, and then you can just do this bit afterwards. But yes, it's just horrendously time consuming. But if somebody could start, I mean, if Howard Astle found a bloke to actually start making these, that would make life a lot easier, because I know that a lot of people would actually buy this piece. Because I mean, I think you could almost use an XY one, because they do make them for that, but it won't be quite right, and obviously the shapes of the quarters are completely different. But if you had nothing, it would be a start. And this is how I describe rust repair panels to people. Like, you can't look at a repair section as a direct bolt in and go type thing. You've got to look at it as a good start. You can't go, oh, this piece is rubbish, it's, you know, doesn't fit. Well, none of them fit. A few do, but that's because they're actually quality parts. But for the most part, you got to look at a rust repair section like that inner as a really good head start, you know, and you will have to do the rest yourself, but at least it gives you a starting point. That's how you got to look at them. Don't look at them like, oh, this is a garbage piece. They're usually not. They just need a little bit of loving. It's like that, the kick in it. Not many, I don't think the people who make them actually know that the floor does that. There is a chance that they copied it off one that was rusted all through there and then just went, oh, it seems straight. But in real fact, it's not, because actually finding one of these cars where it's not rusted is actually quite a difficult piece. But this should, yeah, slot back in there. Obviously a bit of tweaking, but yes, lovely. See, it goes up past here, and then the new outer section is going to be just here. It'll all match up, and then I can do, when I get my custom garage wheel arches, I can chop that out and then remake the inner and then put the outer on, and Bob's your uncle, Fanny's your aunt type stuff. Yeah. Anyway, that's that, and we're moving along, right along. I'm just going to do that little rust repair first, and then we're going to stick this back in. Alrighty, so we're into the fitting up of the outer skin. I've done all the inner there. I actually had a bit of a pain because somebody had been in here before and ground that steel on the inner wheel tub really thin, so my welder just kept blowing straight through no matter how low I turned the thing down. But that's just life. I have since rectified it. This is fitting fairly well. I'm just going to, because this is an XB one, I'm just going to slice off that corner so I can keep the repeater light and everything nice. And well, there's no rust in here, so it doesn't matter. So I'll just be going straight across here, and I'll probably round that edge, and then I'm going to take out a little bit of, ooh, light's flashing to the camera. I've got to take out the, like, effectively just that lip from in behind there, so I can shove this quarter panel section back down the cart a smidge on. But it's actually fitting fairly well. I think once it goes back a bit further, I'll be tapping these up, or I may tap this panel back in a bit. See if I can match them up a bit better. Seems to be looking fairly good. I'll have to probably go across here too, just go zoop, or flatten that off. So I'll get that off, and then we can, and if you keep as much of this as possible, you have a nice flat area where to put a bit of filler down the track to actually hide the weld line Ultimately, when you get closer to here, it is easier because this style line or a fold in a panel actually makes it less likely to warp. But I'm going to go up here just for removing as much of the potential rust as possible. So far looking pretty good. Alrighty chaps, that'll wrap up today's video. I don't know if this is going to be a good one or a bad one, but we now have the custom garage lower rear quarter section in and fitted, and I can now safely say that I have fitted over my time every single version of these lower rear quarter sections that anybody's ever made, as far as I can see, or at least the ones you can commercially get. For the guys at home, you probably don't need this one, which is the bee's knees, but if you're going for absolutely like correct in every way, shape and form, well, 99%, because every panel requires some tweaking to fit the vehicle, because every single vehicle is slightly different, despite them all looking the same. But yes, this one I would have said is as close to perfect as possible, but I did have to tweak it a smidgen for this car. Not too bad, not like the other ones, but for the average guy at home, probably don't need this one, because it is, you know, it's more expensive than the other ones, and if you're doing this stuff at home, you're probably running on a budget, and probably won't go to this extreme for your own personal car. But if you are going for, like I just said, make it look like it's original, this is the one to go for. Spot welder through there, spot welder through there. The only things I had to tweak on this, as you saw earlier, I reshaped the end of this, obviously to cut a little bit out. It was a bit more than I needed. I straightened up this bottom edge here on this panel, so it had like a downward bow in it, so I put it in my shrinker and straightened the edge. I shrunk these corners here and here, just because it didn't quite tuck in enough. That's it, that's all I had to do. And obviously the weld sort of went down on a diagonal through here because it's got a repeater light. If it was an XC, which I'm pretty sure are horizontal right there, probably don't need to bother, and you could just use all of it. But because this is an XA and XB style quarter panel, I had to sort of cut it off on a diagonal, and I literally went through there and across here. So yeah, basically I just shrunk it so it tucks in a bit more, straightened that edge out, which required shrinking because it was dipped out like that, so I shrunk it so it basically straightened up. So tucked it in, straightened up. That's it, that's all it required. Everything else fit perfectly. So yeah, that's the gist of that one. I'm going to throw a little footage of Peter's EJ going, because that disappeared this week. Funny story, that actually got stuck on the driveway, that truck, shortly after I finished filming. The little panoramic shot, 5 minutes after I filmed that truck was actually stuck on the driveway, because we've got a pretty steep driveway and its little feet got stuck on the driveway, so it didn't really want to leave. But as far as I'm aware, the mob who shipped it, called Openica, did a fantastic job. That car arrived from Adelaide, door to door, from Adelaide to Melbourne, in like 48 hours. It was just insane. That car is there now. And you'll probably get, if you watch Peter Anderson, you'll probably see a walk around of that, hopefully. So wrapping this up with Merry Christmas to all the new subscribers. Next year is going to be epic. We have something in the works, a brewing, which should be spectacular fun. We're going to do some more work on the XB, more work on the EJ, and try and polish off these 3 major cars in here. This year spent basically scaling back and trying to recover from taking on too much work too fast, and learning the ins and outs of business. So if you stayed through all of the videos and enjoyed it all, I thoroughly appreciate it. I'm getting there. It's just been the tail end of this year has been spectacularly stressful. So I hope you enjoyed this. It may not be that good a video. I was more focused on getting the work done than actually filming, which is probably what I've been doing a lot lately. I just sometimes the fiddling and tweaking, and because this takes a bit of thinking power, I was sort of more focused on this than filming, so I sort of, because this car is a bit special in its own right, and I want this car to be spot on accurate as close as possible to perfect. So I'm spending more time just making sure everything's spot on correct, like, you know, making sure the boot floor, that inner panel kicks up, and hand rebuilding all the inner there. And please, somebody make that lower outer rear dog leg, well, not really, the outer half of the wheel tub, bit that goes in the corner, somebody please make that piece reproduction. You guys make this and the inner, but nobody that I can comfortably easily get hold of makes that lower section. Make that piece. I've had this discussion with a lot of people who fix these cars. I mean, a lot of people like me can fix them, just make them, but somebody make that piece. So yes, that's enough ramblings, enough waffle. See you next year.